Welcome, homeschool moms. I hope you've got your coffee ready or a nice cup of tea, and join me and Sarah, the homeschool OT, for a live coffee chat. Truth be told, I've had too much coffee for today, but we will do coffee on another day. I have really been enjoying the snowfall that we've had. I hope you have too. Let's call it a snow day for our kids. Just let go of all the expectations of your typical routine and head outside to enjoy the day. This is what we've been doing for years. I am a graduated homeschool mom of 4 kids. 3 kids are grown. 1 is still at home. I've only got a Singleton now. He was sick the other day, so he and I made it a snow day. It was so much fun. I am a certified life coach and a homeschool mentor in the homeschool mom space. And I am walking alongside moms or women and sometimes dads to help them shed what is not working so they can show up authentically, confidently, and purposefully in their homeschools and in their mom lives. So if we haven't met, it's nice to meet you. Now, I'd like to invite Sarah to join us to have a conversation about what she does, a little conversation like a water cooler talk, to share what she does and how she serves in the homeschool community as well. So welcome, Sarah. Hey, nice to see you.
Yes, nice to see you too. I always get like, I don't know, on when I'm trying to get on live, I feel like I'm here and then I'm not. And
Lots going on. Yeah. Well, it seems like lately, at least in the last year or so, or not year or so, week or so, I've had a lot of electrical issues.
Yeah.
But that's because we live in the mountains and there's snow everywhere and trees are knocked down. So we've got a lot of
Yeah.
handles, but that's my interruption. What's your interruption? What have you
Well, we had this huge storm the other day,
seen?
2 days ago now,
Yeah.
and it knocked out power all around. Now, thankfully, not for me. So I am, to all you fellow Pennsylvanians, I feel ya, but I'm very grateful it was not us.
Yeah. I
So,
will say I actually enjoyed it. It was not coincidentally low sensory stimulation. Like
see?
where we live on the mountains, it's routine. Even
Yeah,
in the summer at times. But
yeah,
winter snowfall, this one definitely hit it hard for
yeah.
us. And
Hmm.
anyway, we just got out the candles. It was a really quiet evening. Loved it. We repeated it the second day on purpose.
Yeah. Do you know, I love how you use that and how you're pulling in, because you know that, like, as an OT, that really speaks to my heart.
Yep.
And so much of what I talk about, on the daily with my own kids, but also with other homeschool families. I just think that's awesome. You really pulled in the sensory experience and we're like, this is what was hard, but now we're going to make it beautiful. And that's so great. So great.
Yeah, I don't come from the OT realm.
Yeah.
Actually, I come the nursing realm before I was a mom.
Hmm.
Uh, it was my experience. It was overstimulating. And
Yeah.
whether you identify as a highly sensitive person
Hmm.
or not,
Yeah.
homeschool mom thing is high stimulation. So we need to find ways to
Absolutely.
reduce it.
Absolutely. Hmm. And it is because kids are pulling on us so much throughout the day, but
Literally.
not just like with their needs, but also with co-regulation with us. So like if we think about our own nervous systems and like if you walk into a room and somebody's really tense, and then you become more tense, right? And so when we're working with our kids all day long, we have to really think about what is our nervous system doing and are we actually helping or harming our kids. So in that moment, like you had the option to like, oh my gosh, we're out of power. What if the sub pump doesn't work? My basement floods, and this is so different. Like you had the option to be up here, but you didn't. You managed, and you were, you stayed kind of right level and helped your kids to regulate with that. And that is in current society. We talk so much about self care, self care, self care, and okay, I feel that, but I don't think that self care, as defined by like, I'm gonna,
Yeah. Yeah.
that we're,
Agreed.
Yeah. So, but this self-care of making sure that our bodies and our minds are regulated so that they can work well together and then influence our kids, that's a totally different self-care. I'm all in on that
Yeah,
one.
that's actually the thing that I always talk about.
Yeah.
So when I wrote my book in 2018, I
Hmm.
was kind of just like I've always written, but
Hmm.
I thought about all the things that really did help make me feel okay. Not even
Yeah.
okay, but really feel alive in my school mom journey. And
Yeah.
not coincidentally, I'm doing group coaching programs around all those things now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but one of them I called the big emotions or self-compassion group coaching, which
Mm.
is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So important. So important. So you said like you want, we wanted to come on and chat and kind of about what we have in common, but also like, what you do, what I do.
Yeah.
So I'm an occupational therapist, obviously, based on homeschool OT, right? I work with homeschool families across the nation on really looking at designing our program specifically for our kids because every person is different, right? We're all uniquely wired. Our brains are different. Our bodies are different. We all also have different things that we need and want to do during the day, which means that we have different goals, different
Yeah.
things that we need to, like, if we look at our education system, like brick and mortar schools, like when we're saying like, you need to know this by this point and, our standards of learning and all of that, but in reality, are we all going towards the same plan and purpose in life? No. So why do we all have to know those things at the same time? I don't know.
Yep.
But so, and then we all also have different environments of, how many kids are in our house and what our home looks like and,
Yep.
the space that we have. And all, so, we really have to think about how it's very unique, which is a blessing and a hardship all at one time because there is so many different options, right? And so many different things
Custom.
to do, ways to go about this, and there's not one right way. And so,
Yeah.
coming at it from an OT perspective, what I do is really look at the person, which is what we talked about here, how we all have different goals and different strengths and weaknesses and whatever. So I look at the person, talk about our environment, compare it to, maybe you have different sensory needs and how do we fulfill that in that environment, or how could we set up an environment to help with your executive functioning, or thinking about, man, handwriting is really hard for my kiddo. How do I set up a desk? Like, so the environment can be so many different things.
Yeah.
And then occupation, so meeting all of the different parts of or activities that kid or family needs and wants to do. So that's what I do. We do
Yeah.
that through classes. I have classes specifically on sensory processing. I have classes on executive functioning, one on handwriting, also through a community. So I've got one of those where like we meet and talk about, to read through different books, which I was actually like, oh, you wrote a book. I did not know that. I
Yeah.
should find that. And we do a
It's
different book
actually,
every month.
I
And
would tell you my course is, and I'm rereading through my book again, and it's super light compared
yeah,
to the course I've created in the last few years.
uh-huh.
And the self-compassion course is the one that I've been developing more. But I got to tell you that the focus on moms, and I
Mm-hmm.
think like co-regulating, our tendency is to address or try to always respond to our children. But actually, I think that if we're focusing on ourselves and regulating our own emotions,
Yeah.
then they're going to be responsive to that. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that in itself is hard enough to control, let
Yeah.
alone trying to, include the kids to regulate with us. If we naturally do it, they'll come along with us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I was actually walking today, walking my dog, and because I was thinking as I left my house after breakfast to go on this like walk around, and I was like, wow, today was a lot, and it's only after breakfast, and
Yeah. Mm.
but it wasn't a lot because like I was trying to get, one kiddo doing math and somebody else doing, whatever. It wasn't that I was divided attention because the quote unquote school stuff was so hard, but
Yeah.
it was more of that, like we are dealing with people all day long, like with emotion and, with, this kiddo is growing in, this way. And I had one this morning who he's 7 and he's really working through like, when I feel angry, what do I do? Right. And so this is this is a common occurrence with a lot of 7 and 8 year olds of what do I do with this? I have an emotion and I'm not really quite sure. And then I have 2 teenagers and, it's just, it's a whole lot. And so as I was leaving to just walk around the block, I was thinking like, Sarah, you're the most important person in this whole group because, we've got to get this,
Amen.
handle myself, right? Go on this walk, come back and be refreshed, acknowledge that it was a lot this
Yes.
morning. Be super grateful that all my kids are at an age now where I can leave and go for a walk because I recognize that's not always. And it certainly wasn't for a lot of years, for me either. But like, what can we do instead, So.
Yeah. I mean, I have one child at home who, can you call him a child if he's only 16? But my
Sure.
3 older kids are all grown up across the country, and I still know that there's moments where I wake up feeling, not good, if it's anxious or something. I'm moving into the perimenopausal phase. So, whether it's perimenopause or premenstrual cycles or, postpartum or all sorts of possibilities we have experience, that influences it. And it has nothing to do with homeschooling, and it has nothing to do with having a bunch of kids and responsibilities. Yeah, we have a lot, and we have to actually just turn. I mean, it's easy for me to say because I talk about it all the time, and in reality it's work for me to turn. Okay, what's going on? What am I feeling? What's the story?
Well, if you weren't asking yourself those hard questions and continuing to like seek wisdom for yourself and to work through, then like you're not even doing it right anyway. Even though you talk about it all the time, we still have to live it. It's a continuous thing.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm a certified life coach and a homeschool mentor, but in my one-on-one coaching, when I'm having connections with women, it's usually between 8 and 12 weeks, but I've also got a support group for this purpose. And when I'm engaging them, I do tell them this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really have learned a lot over the course of 50 years. I can't believe I'm saying it. But I have learned a lot, but it's absolutely every little bit of it is because I flex the muscle over and over and over and over. There's still moments if something really big happened, which it's very wild that something just dropped there. But the coincidence, if something really does happen that's really big, I still have to go, okay, how do I deal with this? How do I address my emotions, care about myself, and ask myself, what's the story I'm telling? There's always a story.
Right. And when you're modeling that, so you're modeling it for these moms that you're working with, but you're also modeling it in your home. And that's such a big piece. If we're looking at homeschooling as academics, okay, fine. Maybe we're talking about adjectives with feelings. Okay, fine, whatever. But if we are really looking at homeschooling as a life, as Charlotte Mason says, an atmosphere, discipline, and a life, then we really have to be modeling this from, our beginning of our day to the end of the day and have our kids see we're going to struggle too. We are all on a quest for this, towards wisdom for like our entire lives, so yes, you have learned a ton, I'm sure, and you're writing books and you're coaching and you're mentoring. But you're right. As something else new happens, you learn a piece more, right? And then we can continue to model that for our kids in that different way. And so it's just, it's kind of my thing with people being, the quote unquote experts, where I'm like, yes. And to be an expert, you have to continue to learn. And that's, I think, one of the most important things that we're modeling for our kids throughout life.
Yeah, I mean, I actually had this conversation with a mom this morning that we are not in control of our children. We cannot a life and make things happen a certain way for them. We can't outside experiences for them to make it happen the way they want. We can't make them into what we think that we would like to be. They are what they are, and we're responsible to our journey and grow. And like you're saying, words. But our goal is to grow ourselves. And when we show them how to do it by merely doing it, and then telling them what we're doing in order to do it, then we're creating like scaffolding of tools and strategies and perspectives sometimes. So they see it and then they
Love it.
naturally learn it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And that goes back to this whole like natural learning versus, quote
Yeah.
unquote, the school stuff. And
Yeah.
it is, if you had asked me, like, so we started homeschooling when my daughter, so she was in public school first. She's now 15. At that point, when did we start? She was eight maybe? I don't know. So it's not weird how I don't even know anymore.
Nope.
But if you had asked me,
Totally
school, I'm like, cool, make this at home, and we do the same stuff at home that we could have done at school, but we're doing it together so we can live life together. And that definition has really kind of flipped in my mind of not like we take this and do it at home so we're doing life together, but like actually we're doing life and learning from that. And so it's a really a mind shift. It has been, at least for me.
Yeah.
I don't actually know where I was going with that comment.
Well,
Lost my train of thought here.
Give you time to process it, or I see the dots and I see it myself.
Yeah. Well, good. Pull it together for me, because I don't remember what I was saying.
I don't know what you're thinking, of course, but I know for myself, one of the reasons why I talk about leading into child-led learning and deschooling is because it's a mental shift required for moms.
Yes. Yeah.
And not just because it's the right way to homeschool, because there isn't a right way. I don't believe. And
no, there isn't.
But actually, if I would feel anything the right way, I would say, who is the child in front of you, and are you helping to facilitate their lives to become the people we're meant to be? And that's it.
Right.
But the method is not the right way.
Right.
And the goal is to get away from school mindsets that are limiting how you're approaching things and limiting your child's life. So lean into child-led learning, give them a leg up on life, and it also helps you to get really clear on why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
Amazing.
I mean, very close. Yes. I mean, so much of the switch of the mindset, but also how, if we're putting this all back into like the homeschool mom and the mom that is working here with our kids, it's how can we be self-regulating, and how can we be seeking our own wisdom when what we're trying to do is just take what was happening somewhere else and put it into our house. We're not. So we have to be really thinking about our own specific kids in our lives, and helping them along that way. So yes, it was very close to what I was thinking.
So now you know why I joined you, or asked you to join me for coffee.
Yeah, see? Which I also left because neither of us are drinking coffee.
No, but I can't I don't know why I call it a coffee chat, because if I invite you for coffee, I would say, hey, would you like to come for coffee? But if it's after lunchtime, I would say, would you like tea?
Tea, totally. I'm in on that. I'm like actually one of those strange people that I don't even like coffee. I know. Imagine that.
I didn't like it till I was 30. Maybe I haven't turned the magical age of 30.
There we go. Oh, look, someone's drinking coffee for the both of us. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's so funny. So where do we find you online, and what resources are you offering homeschool moms?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously here at Homeschool OT on Instagram, and the same on Facebook. And I do run a Facebook group where people can ask more questions. So it's a little bit more like, not everybody in the world can see, but it's more on, on how to incorporate occupational therapy into homeschool days. And again, what that means is, if we're thinking of occupation is as any activity, so it's how you occupy your time. So if there is something that you or your child needs to or wants to do, and for whatever reason they're not, like they're struggling with writing or struggling with reading, or they have a lot of strengths in one certain area, but can't apply it in others, right? That asynchronous learning happens for a lot of people. So it can ask some questions within that. Then that's homeschool and OT with Sarah Collins. It just changed its name, or I just changed its name a little bit ago. So I'm like, and my website is homeschoolot.com. And there you can find, there's a lot of resources. There's blogs that I do on the regular of all the different areas that homeschool and OT collide, which again, if we're looking at we homeschool as a lifestyle, then it collides all the time. So there's the classes that are on the website that are on either sensory processing, executive functioning, and handwriting. So those are all there. The link to the membership is there. And then private consultations. If you're thinking, wow, I really need some, hand holding as I'm trying to set this up for my specific kiddo, then that's all there as well.
Yeah. So
there's
good.
Also the links to public speaking. So I'll be in all over. I'm in Pennsylvania and Lancaster coming up here soon in February, at the end of February. And then North Carolina, Heave, I think is next, the Virginia conference in June, and then a few others, but in July. So kind of all over.
Very fun. That's so fun. So, and you still homeschool too, so lots going on.
Yes. Yeah. So my kiddos are 15, almost 13, and then I actually realized I called him 7 earlier, and he just turned 8, and he would be so mad if he knew that I did that. And then an 8-year-old. So like, I know. Get it together.
My kids also know that I don't always know their age at any given time. And occasionally I call the amalgamated name.
Yes. Oh, all the time. In fact, my daughter this morning, I called, I was like, Caleb Reese. And she was like, Mom, how did you do that twice in a row where you didn't know their names? Again, I need to go for a walk, all right? Need some time.
Well, you have snowshoes or skis or something and go hang out outside, because it sure is.
You know it.
Well, thank you for being here, and thanks everybody. It was a pleasure to chat with you.
Yeah,
we'll talk to you again.
It was fantastic. And have a great day.
Thanks. You too.